What kind of show is this? Can I have a snack, Daddy? Is my breakfast ready? Can I have a snack?
Hey everyone, I'm coming to you from my own private dad cave. Welcome to the Harts and Minds podcast, where dad jokes are currency, multitasking is a martial art, and spit up is just part of the uniform. I'm your host, Frank Harts, coming to you from the U.S., but this podcast isn't staying local, baby. We're going global. Each episode, we sit down with incredible dads from around the world to talk life, love, leadership, and occasionally Lego injuries. Here's what's on tap. A real deal conversation with a father who's out there living it, a short, sharp, inspirational dad-fueled minute to boost your day, and a vibe that's somewhere between a coffee-fueled pep talk and a late-night garage brainstorm.
Hey, Dad, you in there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll be out. Yeah, I'm working.
I'm hungry!
Oh, okay.
Are you coming out?
Whether you're in Tokyo traffic or a Texas parking lot, this podcast is for you. Because you're not just raising the bar, you're raising kids. Ha!
Dad!
Yep.
I'm hungry!
Just 2 minutes.
Dad!
Oh, okay. So you can just be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all major platforms. Let's fuel up.
Open the door!
Ew. Okay. Yeah. I'm coming. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Harts and Minds. Today, my special guest, Victor Williams. You all know from King of Queens as Deacon Palmer, but also everybody knows Victor's an amazing dramatic actor as well. That's how we first met on the Cutting Our Teeth on the Stage. Well, we had already cut our teeth by then, but we were rocking it on the stage together. Victor also was starring in the Affair for Showtime as well. But you know, he's done. You can look at his IMDb credits. The list is too long to name right now. Everybody knows Victor Williams, loves Victor Williams. At least I do. Anytime an actor like this walks onto a set or into the rehearsal room, I light up as an actor because I know that the creative folks on the team know what the hell they're doing, and that somebody came to play today and bring their A game. Victor, you went to NYU for the great training. You know, we both have that in common. I was over there at Juilliard, right up the street. But you're also from the BK, Brooklyn.
That's right, born and raised.
More importantly,
all day, every day.
What's that?
All day, every day.
All day, every day. And what's the most important role of all we got going on here?
You and I, we share this in common. We're both dads, man.
Dads, man. We're all grown up. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I usually have, we usually do these sometimes in the AM. I have my coffee, but since it's nighttime, and the kids go to sleep. Go to bed. I say go to bed. And I'm gonna be waking them up, and my wife's gonna come down here and bust me in the head. But anyway, she doesn't. What am I talking about? She doesn't do anything like that. But anyway, cheers to you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Salud.
Listen. Speaking of the AM, I've been trying to figure out, and I ask all the dads this: what in the world do you feed these kids?
Well, first of all, I do with the toast. My wife makes a mean Manhattan, so big up to her for. There's certain things that happen in marriage that you don't expect. I did not expect her to be so good with the Manhattans, so that was a bonus. It's not something I asked when we first got married or were dating. But it was a pleasant surprise to find out that she can crush it.
Yeah, if you open your door right now, I'm standing out front.
What do I feed the kids, man? So I have two. One is 8 and the other is 15. Mm-hmm. One's a boy and one's a girl, and so they have very well. I shouldn't say. I was going to say they have very different tastes, but they come together on certain things. Tonight we actually ordered out. We ordered some sushi. The youngin likes his little salmon avocado with some pork dumplings.
Okay, got the palate all in order here at a young
Yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what we did tonight. We usually do uh, takeout. We order takeout on Thursdays and Fridays. So
Okay, okay.
it's a special day. Um, but yeah, man, it's it's we kind of keep it basic. My daughter, she has a very sort of sophisticated palate. So she gets a little bored with my food, but my son is very basic. So like he's happy with the mac and cheese I hook up with the chicken and the spinach or the broccoli. My daughter gets a little bored with that, but she's starting to sort of step into the kitchen herself and throw it down.
And are you doing most of the cooking, or is it a shared sort of responsibility?
We've rotated throughout the years. There were a number of years when my wife did most of the cooking. Now she has a pretty sort of intense job,
Hmm.
so I've taken over the cooking,
Okay.
and I'm happy to do it. I love to do it, but I'm sure there's going to sort of rotate back at a certain point. I think one of the challenges she has is she is a very she loves her spicy food, so I
Mm.
don't spice it up enough for
Yeah,
her.
it's good going in, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
good going in.
So she it is good going in. But she's always challenging me to spice it up a little bit more.
Um, and so what's like a go-to dish for you? Like a not necessarily one that you'll do when you're trying to like spice it up and impress, but like all around like the Victor Williams, like, Daddy, make us whatever, pancakes with, chocolate chip eyes.
It's funny you say that. So it's sort of it's the weekends are the go-to are buttermilk pancakes for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's like no one complains. It happens, you throw down, it's good to go. I also sort of lean on, so me growing up, my mother's go-to with me was lasagna and turkey meatloaf. And
Mm.
so I haven't really represented so well with the turkey meatloaf, but I try to get down with some lasagna every once in a while. And it's actually, it's it's not. I don't want to say that you can't. You can definitely mess up a lasagna. I'm not trying to say that you can't, but
Yeah.
there's so much goodness in lasagna that even a bad batch of lasagna, they're happy.
Right,
Yeah,
right. It could just be it could be just some sauce, a little meat, and
exactly.
pasta, and they're good to go. And I mean, food, man. Because look, when we were doing Luck of the Irish together in
Mhm.
Lincoln Center, the I remember one night before curtain, you came in, you said, man, I was just you're always a thoughtful castmate, and you said, I was just thinking about you, man. I brought you a pie,
Oh, that's right.
a
I
pie.
remember that. I don't know how
I
we
was
got
like, what in the hell kind of thoughtful person is this?
we had gotten talking about pies for some reason, and where I was
Right.
living at the time,
As I do.
I was living in I was living in Greenpoint at the time.
My mother's from Greenpoint, born and raised. Come on now.
How did I not know that?
You know my mom, and she was
I
born
do
and
know
raised
your
in
mom, but I
Greenpoint
hadn't.
before. Yeah, before she moved to Illinois and met
Wow.
my dad who came from Mississippi. They met in Illinois and had me, but that's a whole other story for another time.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know she had some Greenpoint roots. But
100%, man.
tell us a hello, by the way.
I will. I will. She says
Um,
hello. Yeah.
but at the time, there was a place called the Blue Stove, and
Yes, the
it is
blue
yeah.
stove. I'm going to they have to I'm gonna talk to them about getting some more pies because that was the best pie I ever had in my life.
If they're still open, I actually don't even know if they're still open. It's not. I don't live anywhere near that hood anymore, so I don't
We're gonna
make it
find out.
over there. Yeah, but I used to on the way to rehearsal, and then eventually the show. I would pass by Blue Stove, and I was like, I was like, once I found out that you were down with pie, I can't remember how the conversation come up. And it came up. I knew that you like pies. I was like, that's a reason enough to stop in here and get some.
I
Whatever the seasonal pie was at the time. I mean, their staple is apple, but they did it all year round. Cherry pies were great. It was fantastic. Love that
bro,
stuff.
bro. In presentations, it's just
Oh
the
yeah.
whole. You as Victor Williams just made it just taste better. Just the way you brought it in the room. Like I brought you a pie, man, and it was in this little box, and I said I don't even know what's in the box, but whatever it is, gonna
Right.
taste good because Victor brought it in.
Well, it's funny. It's funny when you're talking about sort of what I make the kids and all that stuff. So the one thing, so going back to my mom also really loved sweet potato pie. So every Thanksgiving, I get up in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and throw down some sweet potato pies. The problem is that I'm the only one in the family that really loves sweet potato pie. So like,
Wow.
I crush them. But my daughter actually really loves apple pies, and so we've started this sort of pseudo sort of. It's early on, but it's been a couple years now that we've gotten together and made some apple pies on Thanksgiving.
Oh,
And like I said, she's got the culinary skills. So we make some really good apple pies. So that might be our tradition for forever. And I don't mind because I love apple pie.
yeah.
I love her. So it's a good combination. So that's also a thing that we get down with. I haven't gotten something with my son just yet. We'll figure that out.
On the physical side, am I hearing wrong? Do I remembering wrong? Are you a biker? Do you bike? Am I making that up?
No, I'm
With the kids, I mean, like, is that a thing?
yes. I mean, yes, I do that. We go for bike rides for sure, but I
Okay,
wouldn't call myself a biker.
right. But you
Like,
do it with the kids. It's like a thing you
yeah,
do. Okay,
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
out there with the special shoes that fit in the pedals and all that. And
None of that stuff. None of that.
keep up, you little weaklings.
That's right. No, but
Yeah.
they actually do enjoy it though. So it is something that we get together and we hop on and we do it. We actually have sort of, we live in Brooklyn, so it's been mostly in Brooklyn, but I've gone myself and trekked a little bit further, not too far. I've never gone more than like 15 miles.
Right.
And so I'm trying to convince my daughter to go on a Sunday bike ride, like, up the West Side Highway or something like
Wow.
that.
Wow,
So
that sounds amazing. I mean,
yeah.
I go up around the cul-de-sac and back.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
come on, Dad, keep going.
I have a friend, a dear friend of mine from college. He lives in California, and he came in to visit, and he hadn't been to my place for a while. So we have bike racks. I'm not a biker, but we do have. I mean, this New York City is it's just easier to get around now in bikes, and so we had the bike racks, and he was just like, you're not a biker, are you? He was like, no. He was like, is this just for show? I was like, oh yeah, I'm just putting bikes up just to show because I
Yeah.
have all the space in the world to just throw
I
bikes
will
up
say,
and not use it.
have done it. Have done
Really?
it. Have done it.
Put the
I
bike rack up and just have it for show.
I didn't. You know what it was? It was a thing where I planned on using it,
Uh,
and so it just ended up being for show. But it wasn't in the plan to begin with.
right,
It's like, those days where you wake up and you're like, I'm going to the gym today, and
right,
I put on the clothes, and I never leave. I put on the clothes though, and the
yep,
intention was there.
right.
But anyway, that's a story for another time. I think it's like, but my question is though, I mean, we're both creatives, man, and it's like, how in the world do you, and this is really, I guess, for any dad in any profession, but how do you balance the home work life situation? You know what I mean? Is it like, oh, honey, I'm gonna go off, I'm gonna do this movie for a little while, and then you go do your thing, and then I'll do my thing again, or are you depending on, like, is it like a childcare situation? Like, how do you make it work? The intense schedule on the outside with the inside.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is very much so trial and error. First and foremost, it's you got to have a good partner. You have to have a partner that supports and understands and all that stuff. And I'm lucky to have that. And then from there, it sort of evolves. We're in a place right now where pre 2020. It was sort of very clear. It was like she had a job where she went into an office to go to, and so
Yeah.
very clear that I can have the space, and I knew the time in which I had that space, right, until she got
Mm-hmm.
home. And so now it's sort of like she works mostly from home, and so it's constantly sort of a negotiation of space and time, and it's sort of it changes, like it changes in terms of what projects I'm working on. I'm an actor. I feel like I've had a great career, but it doesn't change the fact that there are periods where when work isn't happening, and so that can be difficult in terms of how we share the space. Her job has gotten more demanding, so she's more immersed in work and at a time that sort of is like, hey, I need the
Mm-hmm.
space to work on my scene, or I need the space to throw down an audition. And so there's a constant sort of battle of space, but there's also mutual respect. Like I respect what she does, and I respect what she brings to the household, and she respects my past. She's not an actor, and so anyone who's not an actor is always sort of thrown off by like the inconsistency of our business, the ups and downs of it. So I'm sure that she would like uh, uh, more structure. It's that thing. I'll come in and say, "Hey, babe, like, good news is I got a job." She's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Great." It's like, the bad news is it's in Chicago, so we got to figure out, like, what
Yeah.
the childcare situation is going to be.
Do you ever
So,
get her to? You ever try to get her to read with you for an audition?
oh, early on, and it was a wrap on both ends. For her, she hated doing it, and I didn't want her to suffer.
Yeah.
And on my end, I was like, "You got to give me more, babe. You got
Right,
to."
right. Yeah, you figure it's better to keep the marriage together than have her as an audition reader. Now
That's
the kids are
exactly.
getting older. You can,
Yeah.
do they have a creative? Either one of them have, or both have a
They
creative
both kids
interest?
definitely have a creative bent. And it's interesting, and I guess you're talking about things for another time. I don't know if this is for another time, but it's like I do think that all kids have the creative bent. So, like,
Mm.
I can sit here and be like, oh, my kids are like the most creative kids in the world. I do think that every kid has a creative bent, but then it's sort of a question of how much they want to lean into it. And I think that they both lean into it in a very sort of particular way. Definitely, my daughter is I think she's an amazing writer, an amazing
Mm.
visual artist. And so we'll see how much she wants to lean into that. She may not have any, as she gets older, she may want to sort of go in a different direction, but she definitely has it. And it's interesting too, like my son has a very, what we do know is he definitely has he has a musical side. He's a really sort of exceptional instrumentalist, and it's hard for us because neither myself or my wife, like, we don't have like that musical gene.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Mm-hmm.
like, we think he has something. I think, like, I
Right.
don't, and so it's been
Mary had a
exactly, yeah,
little
yeah.
lamb, a genius, genius.
Yeah. So we asked friends, it's like, no, no, he has the thing. And so what the challenge with that is sort of, I have friends who, have played, who, come from opera families, or families who sort of like, are very sort of entrenched in the world of opera. And I have friends who are, amazing, guitar players and pianists. Um, or professional musicians, and
Mm-hmm.
sort of like to watch them sort of bring their skills and talents and interests to their kid is great. And we're just like, uh, I got nothing. Like I tell my son all the time, his son is 8, is like, you know more than I'll ever
Right.
know.
Right.
Like,
Like, yeah. Yeah.
so it's always that thing of wanting to sort of give them some like I give them support, but like personal support is like, I can't give you the musical thing. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I ain't got it.
Yeah. You want to work on some Shakespeare today?
Exactly. It's like,
Come
no.
on. Come on, little August Wilson.
August Wilson.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's listen, but it's I've been learning that more and more. Especially with the second child. Mine are they're 5 and While I'm lying. See, this is if I had a test, I'd lose the game show. 6 and 3. My gosh, wow, how the
Yes.
time goes.
Yes.
But my oldest Hendrix has been asking me lately to make short little films,
Mhm.
and that's been a fun kind of bonding experience because I'm
Right.
like, yes, something
Right.
I can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
instead of my wife's she's got the singing thing locked down, so I can't touch that. They're telling me to stop singing. But is there anything with that you found along the way that where you're just like, you know what, I did not, as a dad, see that. I did not see that coming. I didn't even think about that. How that just hit you when you're like, wow, nobody prepared me for that one.
So there's a shout out to a dear friend of mine, Michael Dolan. I remember, so Michael's an actor. I went to school with him, and we were working on a friend's film, and he was much deeper into this. I wasn't a dad yet, and I can't remember if I were to guess. I guess his kids were probably like maybe, you know, around 8 and 10 or something like that. And we're in between takes in a scene that takes place in a bar, and so we're both sitting at the. I'm the bartender, and he's like, a customer at the bar. So I lean into him. I was like, so how's that dad life? He's like, it's the best thing in the world, but man. And then that's it. And so years later, just sort of in the middle of just going through it with my daughter, and I was just like, I don't know what to do, and it's just like I just feel overwhelmed, and I was just like, that motherfucker,
Yeah.
like you're supposed to tell me what that old man is. He just sort of left it hanging. It's like, no, you have a job. You have a responsibility to tell me what that old man is, that it's great, but old man, what?
You're not
And
afraid.
so it was that thing where it's like, wow, it was like nobody told me. My dad didn't tell me, my brother didn't tell, nobody told me.
Yeah.
And so I
So what's
feel
the old man? What's the old man?
the old man is that it comes in, like it comes out of no, like you have to expect the unexpected. You cannot sort of you cannot it, you cannot expect it to end. It never ends.
Right.
It just
Right.
changes. But once you're in, you're in. I saw something recently that it was like a social media post. There was a woman talking to her mother. The woman, the daughter was probably, like, from what I can tell, was probably in her like late 20s, and she said, "What was the best mom? What was the best time of being a mom?" And the mom, very matter of fact, just sort of not like, just really thoughtful, and was like, "Oh, the best time was when you left the house." I was
Yeah.
like, I'm still a ways from that, but it's like I understand. It's not about. It's sort of. It's. It doesn't sort of. You don't get some sort of relief until you love them to death. Um, but it's constant. It's work all around. It's like round the clock work.
Yeah.
And again, sort of like not knowing when and how things are gonna shift. And so I'm sure that mother was like there doing the video with her daughter, like lovingly, but also sort of like it's like, but now like you're an adult now. And so, and even then, I'm sure, like, I'm sure that's the case with your mom. It's sort of like, even as an adult, it's sort of like you never stop being a parent.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where it's sort of like, okay, like, you're on your own, and I can sort of, I can sort of ease up a little bit.
Yeah, there was. I saw some video on the socials, and some old British guy he was like, yeah, and I can't do the dialect, so I'm not even gonna try. But basically, he was saying like, he said someday you're going to look around your house and you're going to you're gonna see that all of those toys that were strewn about, all of the crumbs that were in the couch, all of the he just went on and on and on, and finally, then he's like, "You're gonna miss it dearly. Trust me, you're going to miss it dearly." And I was thinking to myself, no.
I'm not.
No, I won't.
I know,
No,
right?
I will not.
Yeah.
But you know what? I know it's true. I know it's true because I can see that in the eyes and in the spirits of other parents, and even my mother. Like you said, when she had me when she was 17, and I have three younger siblings, and when we left, it was very hard for her. But it's one of those things where I guess you just you learn as you go, and hope that by the end that you've done. I guess it's like I've been hearing a lot about this emotional intelligence business.
Mhm.
And it's like during the journey, during the process, do you feel like how on a scale of 1 to 10, do you feel like how emotionally intelligent do you feel like you are in terms of dealing with behavioral issues or I know the kids are different ages, but
So, right. So one of the things I think about a lot is and I got this from my mom. It wasn't like she sat down and sort of said, this is what you need to know. It was just sort of in passing. She was talking about. So my brother and I were 8 years apart. I lost my brother a while ago now. I guess about almost 20 years ago.
sorry to hear that.
But shortly after he died, my mother was sort of thinking about my brother, her firstborn, and she was talking about like, yeah, just sort of like your brother just needed I needed to help him in this way, which was different than the way I needed to help you, and the way in which I needed to parent you was just very different from the way I had to parent him. And she wasn't saying as a lesson; she was sort of thinking back in terms of just sort of her time as being a young mother, first time mother with my brother, and then how she sort of shifted towards me. But she was also talking about just sort of the difference in who we were. We were just like different people. So I think that sort of the emotional intelligence also varies from child to child. And so my daughter is very different from my son. And my daughter's a girl, and I grew up. I had a brother. We didn't have any. It was just my mom. I didn't have any sisters, and I look back. Well, look back. I'm still in it with her. But like even like 5 years ago, it's sort of like, oh, like there were just things that I didn't understand and about her.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if it's really emotional. It was my emotional connectivity or my emotional awareness. It just wasn't there.
Mhm.
And then with my son, I think it's a combination of things. I think one is sort of like the second time around, you sort of, all right, like, second time around, like you learn, right?
Yeah.
But also he's a boy, and also we have sort of just a different connection. And so, just on a very basic level, there are things that I wanted from my dad that I didn't always get. And so just sort of naturally, there are things that I give him that I recognize that he needed, because as a boy that I also wanted, and sort of like not even sort of
Mm.
actively looking for. I just sort of recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that I didn't try to give the same to my daughter. It's just my daughter needed something else,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't recognize it. So it's sort of it's just like any other form of intelligence. It's like you're strong in certain areas. You can be highly intelligent, but you might not. You might be very sort of well versed in, I don't know, philosophy and science, but you might be weak in history. You might have like blind spots in other areas. And so it's the same thing.
Yeah. Was your dad there for all of your young life?
Yeah, he was.
Good.
But he was there. he was there. He was there physically, but he struggled with emotions. He struggled with sort of like uh, touches, hugs, like, words of encouragement. He was just very sort of
Hmm.
rigid and like, perfectionist, high expectations, um, demanding, never satisfied. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's you know, for me, it's, and I don't know if a lot of men deal with this, but it's, whether you are a father who is, around all the time or in and out,
mhm,
I guess, well, no, I mean, I guess if you're like us, if you're fathers who are really dedicated to the cause, you know, it's like, and I wonder if my dad felt this, or, if your dad felt this, there's always this like fear of not, like, we know we'll be there if we're here physically on this earth.
right,
And then, not to get too, like, late night heady about this, but it's like, do you ever feel like, you ever think about, like, oh my gosh, like, am I preparing my children enough for, just in case, like, God forbid anything happens and I'm not here? Are they, I always think about my, like, my two young boys. I'm like, are they going to be able to, like, hopefully it won't even be a thing, right? But
right.
like, if something were to happen to me tomorrow, are they good? Like, is it going to be,
Yeah.
you ever think about that?
Oh,
It's
yeah. I
dark,
mean,
but
so the flip side is sort of the flip when I talk to my father in terms of him being rigid and sort of like stern and demanding is, again, like conversations with my mother later, she was like, like, as I got older, and part of it was sort of being older and free, but part of it was also, that thing of, being sort of held in check for so long that eventually, like, once I got on my own, I was going to sort of explode. And I wasn't like, in the big scheme of things, I wasn't doing anything crazy, crazy, but things that he wasn't comfortable with. Like I
mm,
was, it's the club scene and whatever. I was getting home at like 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. And he expressed not liking it, but by
you were
that
a
time,
clubber. You were a clubber,
oh yeah.
Victor Williams. What were you doing out there on these New York City streets at the best time in New York City history to be in a club?
There's I
You got the
was
limelight. Where were you?
dude, I was at oh my God,
Come on now.
14th, there was a club called 14th Street Union Square. There was a Palladium, there was a Limelight, there was a Garage, there was, man, I'm forgetting some
We're gonna
older.
need pictures. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember, I remember going to one club. I came home from college. There was one club where you get in free between between 6 and 7. And so,
Six
but the
and
club,
seven at night,
no, 6 and 7, yeah, six. And you get in free at 6 and 7, between six and
not in the
seven.
morning when people are leaving.
No, no, 6 and 7 at night. But the club's not really popping till 11 o'clock. I
Oh,
remember getting in at 6 o'clock, going to a booth in the corner and taking a 5 hour nap. Waking up, I was like, okay, the party's up.
why did they do that? Who did they
No,
want in there at
I
that
don't know.
time?
I have no idea.
You, I guess they said, we just want to see if Victor will come. We're
Yeah,
gonna keep pushing the time
but
earlier.
my right, my mom though told me that like much years later, so your dad like he didn't fall asleep until you got home. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he was so scared. He was so afraid that something bad was that he couldn't sleep. And so a lot of his rigidity and sternness is related to what you're saying, that he was sort of like, you know, fear feared from my life and fear for like I guess sort of what you're saying, but in reverse. He was afraid of like, what would happen to me.
Mhm.
Um, and so what happens now is sort of like he was so concerned about like he wanted me in bubble wrap. And
Mhm.
so like I couldn't do much. And so I try not to sort of, do the same with my son. But although I think I probably was doing it with my daughter,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. So
Yeah. So if you had, I know we're running out of time, but if you had, sort of a piece of advice to pass along to newer fathers or current fathers, or, fathers to be, what would it be? What would it be?
I honestly don't know. I would say that so I did a when I was I mean grew up here and I started my career here, but I really sort of I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles. And at one point, I decided I wanted to direct. It was my first time directing a play, and I leaned in on a friend of mine who was a producer, and I was like, I'm directing this play. Well, I'm directing and producing this play, so it's like I, found a theater. It's like how do I get my design team and blah blah blah, and how do I approach this play? And she's like, Victor, there's no blueprint. I can give you some names of designers, and I can give you some suggestions for theaters, but you got to make the decision. There's no blueprint for success. You're gonna do it. Hopefully it'll be great, but if not, and I think she was really saying it's probably gonna suck, but you'll learn from that, and then you move on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a lot of ways it's the same thing with parenting. It's sort of you have to sort of trust that what has been given to you by your parents and even other family members and friends, whatever you've learned, that you have that in your toolbox. You have your own sort of self to trust and understand that you're going to still make a lot of mistakes. You'd make mistakes regardless.
Right.
And I think that the most important thing is to be flexible. Going back to my dad, it was I love him dearly. I know that his way, he showed love in the way that he best could. I think the one thing that I probably try to sort of do differently now is just to be flexible. It's it's sort of try something that doesn't work. It's not getting through. Got to pivot. I think the flexibility is the biggest thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no blueprint.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I couldn't agree more. And before we go, thank you for those tidbits of knowledge. And what's coming up? What's going on? What's next? I saw the movie recently, which was amazing. I hope everybody gets to see it. What's the name of it?
Dig Deeper. It was speaking of producing, this was my first venture into being a co-producer on a short film, and it's done really well.
It's good. It's very good.
Thank you. You came out to one of the festivals to see it. I appreciate that. So Dig Deeper by Gerald Seeger, who wrote it and directed it, and I was a lead in it, along with Lee Wilkoff, who's fantastic. So we did a short film, and it's done really well, and we're close to finding a home for it. So I wish I could tell you right now, but I can't really say, but we're very close to finding a home for it. So I'm happy to say that. And then the other thing, which I just found out that, so there's a film that I'm in that opens later this month, and I was told that I'm not allowed to talk about it.
So
but
it's a
I
Marvel
promise
movie.
you, I have something. I promise you that I will say it's a horror film.
Now.
So I'm very excited about that. That'll be in theaters at the end of the month.
Do you live past the first 5 minutes?
I cannot say.
Oh, okay. I don't watch horror films anymore where brothers don't live past the first 5 minutes.
I know.
But, listen, Victor, this has been such a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining today and filling us, just helping us, see the light, not just at the end of the tunnel, but along the way here, man. I mean, I wanted to do this show to bring together dads from around the globe with varying perspectives and just see if, like you said, there's no blueprint, but at least along the way we can, hear from people like Victor Williams about their experiences and maybe make our pathway a little bit clearer. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I do want to say that it is a sacred path, and I think we need to treat it that way. So
amen.
We'll stay on it.
Much love to you, brother. Until next time, Mr. Victor Williams, be well, sir.
Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
All right.
Peace. Here's another dad-fueled minute, the legacy of traditions. Being a dad isn't just about showing up, it's about showing the way. And one of the most powerful ways to do that? Build your own traditions. Big ones, small ones, weird ones, sacred ones. Maybe it's camping every fall, even if it rains and someone forgets the marshmallows. Maybe it's pancakes every Saturday morning, slightly burnt, always made with love. Maybe it's movie night, where you quote every line of The Incredibles like it's Shakespeare. Or maybe it's just a secret handshake before school that no one else knows. These rituals, they're more than routines. They're anchors. They give your kids something to look forward to, something to count on, something that says, this is our family. This is how we love. You don't need a Pinterest board or a 5-year plan. You just need consistency, intention, a little creativity. Because years from now, your kids won't remember every lecture or every rule, but they'll remember the pancakes, the campfire stories, the way you made ordinary moments feel extraordinary. So fuel up, Dad. Traditions don't have to be perfect. They just have to be yours.